Welcome back to Afternoon Live. In the summer of 2010, our next guest made the decision to ride her bicycle solo from her home on the West Coast all the way to Washington, D.C. Her journey taught her so much about herself and our country. She joins us today with a look at her new book, Heidi Across America. We welcome Heidi Beierle. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with the bike ride. What prompted you to travel cross country via bicycle back in 2010?
Well, I was feeling very stuck in my life, kind of in a dark, lonely place, and I had just gone back to school during the 2008 recession and thought that school would be the answer to my problems. And I was 34 when I went back to school, and it really didn't do what I thought it might do, and it kind of made my feelings of isolation worse. And all I wanted to do was ride my bike. I thought ride my bike would be like the answer to my problems. And at the end of the first term, so like in December of 2009, I was in a final presentation and I got an email from my mom that was about, let's go to the Preserving Historic Road conference in Washington, D.C. and hang out with your uncle. It was in September the next year. And I looked at it and I was like, that's nice, but I don't think that's really the thing I want to do. But then I got to thinking, I was like, oh, it's in September. That's before the school term would start in the fall. I was like, if I left on my bike in June and rode out there, like I could probably make it.
Oh my goodness.
So I just wrote this flip email response back to her and I said, sure, I'll pedal out there and meet you. And then I did it.
You really did it.
Yeah, I made it into a project and I thought this is perfect.
So how did you power through? Because you're talking about the heat of the summer, traveling across the middle of the country. How did you keep going and not give up and make it all the way?
Well, I had a deadline with the conference, so I did actually get a presentation opportunity at the conference, so I really had to make it. And I was studying bicycle tourism and rural economic development along the way. And yeah, so I don't know. It was powered a little bit on like soft serve and Oreos, and I also felt a lot better every day after I'd had an opportunity to take a shower and rest. So it was kind of a combination of all of those things. And then I did actually get a little too hot and needed to take care of myself in a more careful way. So I took a little break and came back to the route.
Well, and the kindness of strangers really powered you through in certain times, right? Were you surprised at people that were willing to open themselves up to you?
Absolutely. They were in so many different ways, so many small gestures and large gestures. And by the time I was getting too hot and the way people had come to my aid, I realized that I wasn't actually as alone as I thought I was, that there were all these people all around me. And it was really that feeling of recognizing the support of other people that helped me make the decision about how to take care of myself.
So then that was back in 2010. What's changed since then, and what led you to actually put this on paper and make it into a book?
Yeah, well, I felt like I had this want to write a book, and I had tried a memoir before, and something about this ride had a definable beginning and end, and I thought, well, I could do something with that. Like I could take this idea of a book and really put it in there. And I think it was more motivated from a sense of personal understanding and exploration than it was like, oh, I want to write a book and get it published and everything like that.
Well, I mean, what a great story, what a great place to start. I mean, that's the hardest part, right? Kind of finding that hook of what's this book about?
Right, and I actually did not know what it was about until I started editing it. I had written voluminously and needed to cut it down, and it was in that decision-making process of what stays and what goes that I started to discover that the story was about how I came to love myself in America.
That's a great story. I think a lot of people find their way to their work in that same fashion that you just described. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
Great
having
chatting
me.
with you. The book again is Heidi Across America. Heidi will be appearing at Powell's on West Burnside this Sunday, May 19th at 3 p.m. We'll have all that information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this. Thank you so much.